Welcome to Two Minds Today with your host, Charlene, Authority in Leadership Development, and Haleh, an expert community builder. The pod all about best practices to get you noticed and ahead in your professional life.
Hi.
Hi, Charlene. It's so good to speak with you. We're back here from vacation.
I know it's been so long since we connected, but I actually think that led to the perfect conversation today, because we were out. I was vacationing for a very long time. I had an amazing opportunity to travel with my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, and my husband, and we went to South Africa for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yes, which was phenomenal, amazing, a long period of time to be away from work. And
right.
I think that inspired what we're doing today, right, Haleh?
Absolutely. We're talking vacations. It's summertime here in the U.S. I don't know if you're listening internationally, what's going on in your part of the hemisphere.
It was winter in South Africa, but it was also holiday break. They did totally different school schedule kind of thing. I don't think they have the full summer brain drain that we have, which could be a different episode.
That sure can be. So today what we want to talk about is how to take that perfect timing for your break. And as you just alluded to, do you get a brain drain? Is there a good time to take a break? Not a good time to take a break when you're at work. So what are your thoughts on vacation planning in the workplace?
Yeah, I like to set up when I take a job, anything that is permanent in your life, more or less. For many years, my family took a vacation from Christmas to New Year's every year. And when I took a job, this is early on in my career, I would say hey, does this work for you? And is this the flow? And then honestly, if the flow was no, it might not have been the right fit altogether. But really thinking about one, the things that I think are important to you in your life. And two, which I think maybe you're getting at, is every work has a different ebb and flow, and you need to know what yours is.
100%. So just because it's summertime, don't just assume right off the bat. That means you could take 3-4 day weekends. You can take a vacation because everybody's going to the beach during the summer. Everyone's taking a holiday. That just might not be the case at your work, and you need to be cognizant of it. So if your job has a really busy summertime season, you need to plan your vacations to do it another time. Otherwise, you're not the best employee that you can be.
And I want to add that I wouldn't even say your company, right? Sometimes your role, it really is dependent. And that could be so frustrating when you're in an office and you're the only one that's digging deep and working, but that's your job. I presume for our finance friends, that's around tax season or fiscal year end. But really it really involves this in-depth learning of what your job is, what your company flow is, and really get a sense of the calendar so that you're not leaving people hanging right 100%. When it's really important.
100%. I love that. It reminds me of teachers and administrators of schools. Administrators of schools are working really hard in the summer. That's not necessarily the time they take a vacation. All right. So let's say you finally know exactly when it is that you're going. How do we set up to have this, seamless setup and setting your colleagues up to go? How do you do it? Is it just up and go? What do you say to that, Charlene?
Okay, so as I mentioned, I 3 weeks. So I left for 3 weeks. One, it was planned. This trip happened to be planned 4 years in advance. So it was something that a year and a half when I got the job, I'm hey, in a year and a half from now, I'm going. I am very fortunate for a few things. One, I have an amazing team, but two, also I'm able to plan my schedule a little bit. So one, pivoting off of one, I was able to schedule it after we finished a big program. And two, I had a meeting right before I left where I helped project plan. Hey, these are the things that are going on that I might need help with while I'm away. These are the things that can wait till I get back. And it really takes this additional effort of scoping out the work. My colleague is out next week. And as a supervisor, I was okay, let me know what you need me to do while you are away. Being communication. Yes.
That is so critical because I think especially when you're young in your profession or new to a job, you might think to yourself, oh, these are the days I'm working. These are the times I'm working. And when I'm off, I'm off. And you don't want to think about it and you want to just step out. But that's really not how it works because the company and the organization is going on and on even when you're not there.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that you show to your employers that you value and understand what it is that they're doing because you're not leaving anyone hanging and you're telling them what's going on. And that's so important to set your colleagues up for success when you're not there. It's not about making sure that everyone knows that you're super missed when you're not there. It's
Right.
about making
The
sure
opposite.
that things are successful. Okay. So then you go on your vacation and then you're coming back. Tell me a little bit about returning strong. What are your tips on that?
Okay. One, again, to dovetail into our last one, I think if and there's such a movement in our workforce to respect the boundaries of off work time, which I don't think I had and I'm sure you didn't have, but that really is the case right now. So if you want to have all of those boundaries really respected, and when you're off, you are off, setting up is critical. And then returning is right? Like when we used to go on vacation, we check emails here and there. And maybe I did that a few times, but I actually had no internet access. So returning, I think, this is my opinion, returning used to be a little bit easier, right? Because you were never fully away. Now, if you are really respecting your boundaries of your vacation, as everybody frankly should, you're returning to 7,000 things probably and emails, and it is all, if you set it up correctly, maybe you're not and you're doing great, but regardless, there's work that not only did you not get done, you were really removed from. And it's almost like this re-entry phase. Like I don't know, I vaguely remember in the back of my head, like astronauts have, I don't know, it's like this thing where it's like you're entering back in, and I don't know, I'll look it up for another time. The show notes.
I know where you're getting though,
Yeah.
because astronauts need to return like slowly. You have to set your body up to get ready to come back to Earth. And so one of the returning strategies is to set up your vacation, if possible, to come back midweek, because even if you don't have significant amount of responsibilities and you are more of a punch in, punch out situation, it's hard to come back to full days where you're responsible for not. So if you're coming back on a Wednesday, you get a short week and it makes it a little bit easier to come back, right? So for sure you need that reentry. To the other point that you were saying, if you are a worker that's going to come back to a massive amount of emails, my suggestion is frame it appropriately. I think a lot of people would benefit from framing it as thinking ahead of not that, oh, I have my vacation, then my life is going to be horrible. I'm back to all this work again. Rather than thinking like that, know ahead of time that you have this vacation because when you come back, you're going to have a really hectic couple of days and you already know that. So psychologically, emotionally, you prep for it. You set yourself up for a short week if possible. And as you said, if you set yourself up even beforehand and had colleague support, that is also helpful.
I wanted to touch a little bit, continue on colleague support. We are fully aware that everyone in your office is at different economic standpoints, different places in their life. What's something we can do to really respect all of the people around us?
It's so interesting that you say that because I think the answer to that question for me goes on to our fourth point of communication with our colleagues. A lot of times you might go on vacation and come back, and how are you perceived when you come back? Are people thinking that, oh, you're the person who gets all these breaks all the time, or you're the person who, gets to relax and not do anything, or you're skirting your responsibilities? I think you have to be really careful when you come back, how much you talk about your vacation, right? Like, is it really appropriate? Everyone was working. Do they really want to hear it from you? Maybe your buddy hasn't had a break in a year. I don't know. Keep it on the down low a bit, in my opinion.
I underscore always relationships matter, right? How you're interacting is true for all the way through. All right. Do you want to let's try and wrap us up for today?
All right, let's wrap it up. In the US, it's summertime. Many people think it's vacation season. Is it or is it not? Think about your perfect timing for your breaks. And if you're going on vacation, make sure you do that seamless setup so that your colleagues are ready to have you go. You're ready to come back. When you come back, you want to return strong. And finally, remember always that your relationships matter. Communicate, be aware of what others are doing inside your office, so they're not so upset that you've gone on a break and think you're the one who's living it high, even though you've been planning for 4 years for this safari getaway with your family.
Yeah. It's I think that's all that really emphasize, think about your surroundings, think about who you're with and what you need to do. And really that's threaded through everything we do. So thank you everybody for joining us today. And it was fun to get to chat again, Hala.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks, Charlene.
Thanks. All right.